Today I am here to present the September forecast update for budget 2021-22. This forecast shows government's commitment to making investments in priority areas such as healthcare, roads, students, and seniors. Since coming into office, our government has quickly started working on our plan for change. We know Nova Scotians are counting on us to make investments that will have a lasting impact on our province, particularly in our healthcare sector, our education system, and overall in our communities across Nova Scotia. That's why we're investing more than $80 million in important programs like the Virtual Care NS pilot program, where we will provide $1.3 million in funding to expand virtual care in order to increase access to health care and address the wait list for our doctors. And our $32.5 million investment in the Gravel Road Capital Program, the Gravel Road Reconstruction Program, and the Rural Impact Mitigation Program, which will support maintenance and repair of rural roads across the province. We are also investing $32 million in the new Seniors Care Grant, which will help provide the support that seniors need to stay in their homes. As part of this update, I'm also pleased to share that government will be paying the bonds related to the Cobequid Pass early. This is the first step to action our commitment to remove the tolls from the Cobequid Pass. There are a lot of details to work out, and Minister Maslin and her department will be leading the charge of planning what's needed to decommission the tolls. But we've taken the very first step here today. These are just a few of many important investments we are making. For further information on each of these investments, you should reach out to the individual departments who will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Since the budget release in March, we are forecasting $397.1 million in additional departmental expenses, mainly due to Nova Scotia's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and new funding for federally recoverable programming. These expenses were mostly incurred by the previous government. Since budget, we are seeing some signs of economic recovery, but the pandemic continues to have an impact on our economic certainty. Government is forecasting a deficit of $444.5 million for the 2021-22 fiscal year. That is improved from the $584.9 million deficit presented in March. Total revenue is projected to be $12.19 billion, up $406.8 million from budget, mainly due to increases in personal income tax, a one-time increase in the Canada Health Transfer, and a one-time increase in federal funding for the offshore accord. Overall expenses are projected to be $12.83 billion, up $354.9 million from budget. We know we have more work to do, and we are just getting started. Our commitment to Nova Scotians is to take action and bring about new solutions, and we will continue to work with our partners across all sectors to do that. As you know, we will hold another forecast update by the end of December, and you can expect to see further spending updates that reflect our promises to Nova Scotians. In closing, I want to thank staff at Finance and Treasury Board and across government for their contributions to this update. I will now take your questions.
Minister, your party promised in the election to remove those Cobequid tolls immediately. That's not actually what's happening. How soon do you think we'll actually see the tolls removed?
It's a question would be best answered by the Minister of Public Works, but the very first step that's needed to be taken is to notify the bondholders, which has been done, and to end that agreement. At that point, we can proceed with removal of the tolls.
What do you think should happen with the surplus that's left in the Highway 104 Western Alignment Corporation?
Well, I think at the end of the day, that would also be a decision for the Minister of Public Works. I think it would be best for her to answer that question.
Sorry, you folks campaign on spending a lot of money, $1 billion deficit with the first budget that you're going to introduce next spring. But as you're getting acquainted with these books, are you seeing anything that makes you think you won't be able to have the capacity to do the things that you discussed during the campaign?
Well, I think it's very important that even though we made that commitment to deficit spend, if necessary, to fix health care, we have to watch every dollar that goes out the door. And we're still early days. We have a new cabinet, new ministers, all getting briefed over the last number of weeks with their departments. I think as we as we move away from this forecast update and turn our attention to budget planning, those are some of the questions we'll be asking ourselves. And we'll certainly be watching every dollar that goes out the door, and it's time for us to start putting our stamp. Even though we're in the middle of a fiscal year, it's time for us to start putting our stamp on this new government and some of the changes we want to put in place that I believe Nova Scotians have been looking for.
So some of those healthcare changes, might we see them in the last 6 months of this fiscal year? Some of that significant amount of spending that your party promised, will we see that before the next budget?
If there are things that we can do now, we will do them, if they make sense to do. There is no point in waiting. We've been elected to implement change and to fix the healthcare system. So anything we see that we can do that makes sense, that's fiscally prudent, but also will make a difference in the healthcare system, I expect we'll be acting as soon as we can.
What conversations, if any, have you had so far with either the Premier or Minister Lohr, or perhaps Minister McFarlane, about what additional spending might be necessary as it relates to housing in the province?
Well, we have right now $25 million allocated for that, and that was part of this forecast update. Like was said in the election campaign, we're focused on solutions. There's money allocated right now, $25 million, and there's work taking place to come up with specifics around how that'll be spent. Personally, I've not had specific conversations with the Premier or the Minister responsible on what the actual solutions will be. But from the Finance Department perspective, we want to make sure that we're there to support that needs to be addressed.
Minister, I'm curious about the seniors' care grants. Are people eligible to apply for those now? Like, is that something that's available today or soon?
Not yet, but it is coming soon, and there will be an announcement made on that soon once the parameters are finalized. I believe the intention is to ensure that it happens sooner than later, because some of those seniors could benefit over the coming winter months with the funds that could come to them from that program.
Can you describe in general what it's designed to do?
I would like to do that, but what I can say is that you'll have the details very soon on that one.
So is that a one-time amount, $32 million, or is that going to be the annual amount that the government is committing to this?
The purpose of the program is to help keep seniors in their homes. I noticed myself in the last election campaign when I was going around, I met a lot of seniors who would love to move into a simpler home. They may be alone in their house right now, but there's no single level unit for them to move into, where they don't have to deal with the costs and the involved in maintaining their own home and all of the things they have to do. So this program is designed to keep people in their homes. So my feeling or understanding would be that it will continue each year.
And at that amount, like that $32 million?
I wouldn't say exactly, because every year we'll go through the budgeting process. We'll have to see what the uptake is, have to see how well the program is working. But generally, to answer your question, this is a need that's not going to go away. It will serve a purpose in helping to keep seniors in their homes longer, which is a help for housing needs throughout the province. That's seniors that don't need to find another housing solution for themselves. So my feeling would be that it will continue on each year.
But this is the thing that Mr. Houston spoke about during the campaign. That was like money to help shovel the driveway, right, and do minor repairs on the front steps or things like that. That's kind of what we're talking about, right?
I think you'd be safe to say that the comments the Premier made during the election would be part of this. Yes.
Just if I could go back to the tolls, one thing that I wasn't 100% clear on during the election campaign is whether your party planned to get rid of all tolls, or do what the previous government had talked about and only get rid of tolls for Nova Scotian drivers, not for commercial vehicles or visitors.
Sure.
Could you tell us today, are all tolls going to be eliminated?
Well, the purpose of what we're doing today is to help start the process of removing the tolls. Questions about, there's an interdepartmental committee right now, the process has been started, and they're looking at all the details and removing the tolls.
Are all tolls going to be eliminated?
That is a decision by the Minister of Public Works.
I just want to take a moment and go to the phone line to see if anybody on the phone has a question for the minister. Okay. Anything?